Good morning, everyone. Today is September 1st. You'll see on our slideshow that's presented on the screen, if you're at school or if you are at home watching our very first slide on the slideshow, it says make sure to log into Schoology and complete your bell ringer. If you don't have a Chromebook, we have packets on desk number 25. So if you are working from home, please make sure you get your bell ringer completed. There are 5 multiple choice questions. They're pretty easy. They're common sense. If you have any questions, you can do them up to 3 times and it will give you the answer if you get it wrong so that you can get 100% on your own. Number 2, we have this lab safety rules. If we continue on with our slideshow, we can see we're learning a little bit about lab safety today. So I'm going to go ahead and open this assignment. I've already got it open on a tab here. I'm going to hit preview and I'm going to split my screen here so that you can see both the slideshow and the assignment. So why is it important? Why is lab safety important? Lab safety prevents harm to students and teachers. It's important that we don't get hurt in school. And it keeps our workspace clean. We want to keep a neat and tidy area so that we don't cause any accidents. There is this Amoeba Sisters video here. Zoom will not allow me to show a YouTube video while I am screen sharing. So please go ahead and watch this video and press pause, come right back. Okay, I'm going to assume we watched the video. What stood out to you in the video? You can kind of answer this question to yourself if you are watching from home. Maybe one of the lab rules stood out to you, like tying your hair back or wearing closed-toed shoes, or maybe some of the safety equipment. Just note what stood out to you during the video. Next, we're going to go over these lab safety rules. So this is where our Schoology assignment comes in. So I'm going to hit start new attempt on the assignment. And you should see it kind of matches here. I'm not sure why this purple box is here. I'll make sure to fix that before getting into the day here. But lab safety rules, there are do's and don'ts for a safe lab experience. So it kind of matches and goes right along. So if I hit the next button here and the next button here, I'm going to see dress for success. We have PPE, which stands for personal protective equipment. So over here, I'm going to finish the words of PPE, personal protective equipment. And then I'll hit next on both sides. To dress for success, we always need to protect our eyes, our face, hands, and body. Please make sure you are spelling these correctly. Spelling does count. We need to do this by wearing proper clothing and using protective equipment. I'm going to go ahead and hit next on both. Some examples include goggles, a lab coat. Please make sure you're typing these in the right boxes. Gloves to protect our hands, a mask, closed-toed shoes, and our hair tied back. We need to know the location of important safety equipment, such as the first aid kit. The first aid kit is in Mrs. Harmon's desk. If we ever need it, I will direct a student as to which drawer it is in. A fire extinguisher. Our fire extinguisher is located in the science prep lab. And the eye wash station on sink. We have a sink at the back of the room, and the eye wash station is actually on Mrs. Harmon's desk. So we don't want to play with that unless it's an actual emergency so that we don't flood my desk. I'm going to fill in the blanks of our assignment. I'll hit next. Immediately notify your teacher of any injuries, spills, or emergencies. So if something were to spill or someone gets hurt, please let me know quickly. The next one, we are going to drag the word and drop it in the white box. So we are going to read all directions before beginning. We are going to follow the directions exactly as they are written. We are never going to run or horseplay in the lab. We are going to keep our lab space clean. We're going to never reach across an open flame. We don't want to get burned or accidentally tip it over. And we are not going to look directly into a test tube when heating or mixing chemicals. That could damage our eyes. And if we breathe it in, it might be dangerous for us. Go ahead and hit next. Never mix chemicals without your teacher's permission. Never smell a chemical directly. Waft the fumes towards your nose. So when you are wafting, you are kind of holding the beaker or test tube away from you and just kind of gently blowing the air towards your face using your hand. Keep lids on containers when they are not in use. Similar to our water bottles, we want to keep the lid on so we don't spill them. Handle living organisms with respect. That means both the animals that might be in our classroom and our friends. Do not use glassware that is chipped or broken. And never taste the materials unless instructed to do so. This one is very important. Please do not try and eat anything in the lab unless and until I tell you to do so. Next, we have some questions here. Always protect your eyes, face, hands, and body in the lab by wearing, we should remember this from the first slide, personal protective equipment, PPE. You should always know the location of important safety equipment, such as we have our first aid kit, fire extinguisher, eye wash sink. All of the above are important to know where they are. 11, if you accidentally spill something in the lab, the first thing you should do is notify your teacher. Let Mrs. Harmon know or Miss Settle know, so that way we can tell you how exactly to clean up the mess. When in doubt, this one is very important. Always ask your teacher. Miss Settle and I are very good at our jobs. We know a lot about science. And if you are ever having any questions, please just let one of us know. What should you do before beginning a lab? I realize I'm a little ahead. Look at all the materials and use your imagination. Google the instructions on your phone. Brainstorm with your lab group, or most importantly, read all the directions. You need to read all the directions of your lab. We will be copying down our labs into our lab notebook this year so that you will know all of the materials and procedures before you go into the lab each day. Which of the following is not a safety rule? We should definitely keep our lab space clean. We should never run or horseplay in the lab. We should not use broken or chipped glassware. And we need to keep lids on containers. It is okay to taste materials in the lab when you are instructed to do so. If the material is edible, if your favorite candy is being used, or it seems like there are plenty left over, are not best practices. Please wait until we give you permission to eat and make sure that our lab space is clean enough to actually be eating in. Number 8, when you are dealing with chemicals in the lab, do not look directly into a test tube. Never smell the chemical directly. Never mix chemicals without your teacher's permission. So all of these look like good rules. So I'm going to select all of the above here. Handle living organisms with respect. Again, whether that is an animal that we are seeing in the classroom or if that is our classmates themselves, respect them, please. And number 10, why should you never reach across a flame? The first one, you could burn yourself. Second one, you could burn someone else. And the last one, you could tip it over and start a larger fire. So all of the above are good reasons to not reach across a flame. Our last question here, we will see that there is a picture. Look at the picture on Schoology or the worksheet. Find 5 students who are practicing good lab safety behaviors. Find 5 students who are practicing bad lab safety behaviors, and then find 5 pieces of safety equipment. So I am going to circle these in red for the good lab safety. We can see this student over here is wafting. So that is a good lab safety behavior. We have this person down here who is stop, dropping, and rolling. That's a pretty safe thing to do if necessary. We have this person here who is pointing the test tube away from their face. We have this person here who's cleaning up their lab station. And we also have, let's see here. There's not a lot of good practices in this video, unfortunately. We can go with this fella here. It looks like he's wearing his goggles, his gloves, and his apron properly. And that means he has his personal protective equipment on. I'm going to change the color now. I'm going to use green for the bad lab safety behaviors. So right away, I see this person is smelling the chemicals directly, which is not a good thing. I also see this Bunsen burner here has a bunch of flammable objects next to it, which could be very dangerous. I have this person here who is drinking in the lab. That is not a good thing to do. This person whose long hair is next to an open flame, they might catch on fire. Then I got this person who is literally eating some chemicals. That is a terrible idea. So there are 5 things. We could also go with this person who is horseplaying. This person who is not wearing their safety goggles. This person's also not wearing safety goggles. There's a bunch of inappropriate lab behaviors in this picture. Just find a couple. And lastly, blue, I'm going to circle some pieces of lab safety equipment. I noticed down here, I have a first aid kit. Over here, I have a fire extinguisher. I can see this lady, she's wearing an apron. And this person has their safety goggles on, which is good. And this person is wearing gloves. Well, they're not doing anything safe. They're still wearing their gloves. So there's at least that. All right. So if you have any questions, please make sure you send a text message or a Schoology message or a ask me and Miss Settle in class, and we'll be able to help you out. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great day and we'll see you later.